Good morning, friends and fellow traders. This is Doug Campbell with Right Way Options, and this is the Morning Market Prep video for February 21st, 2025. Well, hope everyone had a good rest and ready for maybe a freaky Friday. We've had a little bit of scare in the market with a big downside move here, worried about the consumer, worried about the wariness of the consumer, worried about tariffs, worried about what that might mean for the overall economy. So let's take a look and see if we can get something going today. First off, let's look at what we've got going on in the overnight. We had Asian markets a little bit better last night, bit of a mix. Hong Kong set a new high last night, being up a whopping 3.99% at the close, 900 points. Got a new record high there. Shanghai was just a little bit higher, 0.85%. India was lower last night. The Nikkei pushed up by 0.26%, and Australia lower by 0.32%, with South Korea had some mix in their indexes, one just flat, one just slightly higher. So kind of a little bit of a mix of data going on in there, but a little bit better than the day before. If we take a look at European stocks this morning, now European stocks are green across the board this morning. We haven't seen that for a couple of days here. DAX right now is up 0.19%. FTSE is up 0.13%. CAC is up 0.55%. And again, just trying to maybe recover from a little bit of selling that they've been experiencing the last couple of days. And if we take a look at U.S. futures here this morning, well, they're in the green, but they're just a little bit uncertain appearing here this morning. The Dow futures right now up 43 points. S&P 500 futures have just slipped slightly negative, down $1.50. And if we take a look at Nasdaq futures, we are $12.75 on those Nasdaq futures. So not a whole lot of energy here this morning in that pre-market, at least just yet. We'll see if some of those economic numbers and some of those earnings numbers can inspire a little bit more energy in the market. Let's take a look at some other areas. Hey, if we look at oil this morning, oil's just a little bit lower here this morning. We've got oil down 65 cents at 71.82 in oil futures. Brent at the moment is down 70 cents at 75.78 a barrel. If we take a look at natural gas, well, natural gas is making a move back to the upside. Right now up about 13 cents. So looking pretty good on natural gas. If we take a quick look at our bond yields here this morning, well, just like a 10th tick lower here, so a little bit of easing, just edging lower. The 2-year is at 4.26%. The 10-year is at 4.49%. 30-year at 4.72%. This morning, so we'll want to be keeping an eye on that. Interestingly enough, that has the dollar moving just a little bit higher today. We've got the good dollar up by 27 cents here on the day, just trying to push back up after a strong sell-off yesterday. So what's going on in those precious metals with that happening? Well, precious metals are a little light here today. When we looked at the gold yesterday, it was pushing back up after gapping just a little bit lower and ended up pushing up here and closing up here at a new high. You can see just barely up there close to a new high. And this morning, just feeling a little bit of softness here. They're trying to pick up just a little bit at the moment. Right now down $11.10 an ounce at $2,945 an ounce. Silver this morning is also a little bit lighter here today. Silver down about 10.5 cents at 33.38 an ounce, but still looking very bullish overall in that chart. Copper is down this morning. If we look at like COPX, copper's pulling back a little bit. Platinum and palladium also pulling back just a little bit on maybe some of that economic uncertainty. If we take a look at cryptos this morning, well, Bitcoin had a pretty good day yesterday, moving up, big sharp move up, and this morning also seems like they're feeling just a little bit uncertain here this morning. Bitcoin right now up $98 a coin, up 0.10%, which is really small move for a Bitcoin. Ether right now doing a little bit better, up 1.53%, or up 42 points, or $42 per coin. And kind of a mix in the cryptos here this morning. A little bit of uncertainty maybe creeping in there. So what does all that mean for the day? Well, how about we settle in? Let's buckle up. Let's get ready for the Friday edition of the Morning Market Prep video. Good morning once again, and thank you so much, everyone. I truly appreciate you being here. Hope everyone is starting to warm up. This cold weather has been pretty intense across the country. We're -1 here this morning, but we're on our way to some really nice temperatures here over the next few days. So looking forward to that warm up. I hope you are as well. Let's take a look at these charts and see if we can decide how we want to approach the market for today. And remember, we want to do that without a bias. We want to look at the charts for what they are, not for what we want them to be. Well, I've been saying here that the market was set up for some kind of big move, that we were coiling up. If you watched yesterday's video, talked about that. We were all coiled up, ready for some kind of big move. I didn't know if it was going to be up or down. Turned out to be down, but it really wasn't all that damaging yesterday. It really is going to depend on what the follow-through looks like here. So as you can see, we broke down below our wedging pattern here in the chart, and actually took out this low right here early in the day. So if those bears can continue to find inspiration here, let's look for a retest after bouncing back up here at the end of the day. See if we'll retest this area of support, and of course if that were to break, then I think we're coming down here to test the underneath side of that big white candle there, and then possibly we move on lower from there. Now that, if that were to occur, we might be into a test of that 50-day moving average. And notice that 50-day moving average hasn't turned up yet, so keep a close eye on that. If we get some bullish action in here, however, start bouncing up, and I think there's every reason to believe we could bounce on up here. Maybe we'll push back up into this area here to see if we can test the bottom of that little consolidation move here in the chart, and then this resistance just above that. Of course, we have this downtrend here that we'll want to be thinking about. If we can push on through, we might come up into that as well. Breaking above there, then of course we could have a complete reversal that occurs in the market, and we'll be watching for that possibility with all of the things that are happening here in the market right now. That is so uncertain. Anything, I think, is possible here in the Dow. If we take a look at our SPY, well, our SPY had a really good bounce back up yesterday. They shook it off pretty strongly yesterday, continuing that attention into techs and buying back up. So a little bit of a hammer pattern here, and we're still in this consolidating range here in the SPY. Obviously a little bit of uncertainty popped in there, but we'll want to be watching that closely here. If those bulls can find inspiration and start pushing us back up, well, you can see it's not hard to see that possibility of all-time highs happening even today on Friday into the close. So watch that carefully. And if the bears have anything more to say, well, of course, push back down, and the test of whether we're really gaining momentum will probably be breaking the low of yesterday's candle and back into this little upside trend, and see if we catch some support in that area of the chart. Now, if we look at our QQQ also hammering strong yesterday, bouncing back up off of that low, trying to shake it off in big tech. We have an unbelievable desire, and I'm not sure it's a healthy desire, to just continuously buy tech. We'll have to watch that closely, because I've shown you how overvalued the S&P 500 is in its PE ratio, and the Buffett ratio being way out of whack. It's one of the reasons Buffett is not a big buyer in the stock market right now, that there is no value here. So watch that closely as we continue to stretch. It does remind me an awful lot of a bubble forming here in the NASDAQ, but right now all signs continue to point to the upside, so stay with the trend, but be careful not to overtrade. If the bulls can continue to push here in the pre-market today, well, every reason to believe we could start pushing right back up here to these highs, and all-time highs could easily be made here in the NASDAQ today if that bullishness continues. If the bears were to have anything to say in here, push back down, I could see some areas of support right here that could easily be tested and held, and we could continue this bullish consolidation. If, however, those bears do find inspiration a little bit more, well, pushing back down, we would start looking for that attack back down into this area and the upside trend in the chart. And last but not least, IWM. IWM had a bit of a rough day yesterday, again failing that 50-day moving average. This is multiple times that we've been wearing the 50-day moving average like a hat here on IWM and just haven't been able to get anything going. And my belief is we're sucking so much money into the tech sector that IWM is languishing here in finding any kind of buying or momentum. And so as long as that tech sector remains strong, I'm going to kind of continue to expect IWM to remain a bit weak. So watching that carefully here, if we find some additional bullishness here in the market today, then pushing back up to test this resistance in this downtrend, we'd have to have a pretty good push to break us through that area up there. That would get us back above that 50-day. If the bears have anything more to say, well, you can see a retest of yesterday's candle lows down in here, look like a possibility, then right on down here to this area of price support in the chart. And I think if this area were to break, then we're on our way to test the 200-day in the Russell. Let's take a look at our VIX. Now, our VIX yesterday, pretty interesting. It got going pretty good there, spiked up well above 16 handles there early in the day, and then as the tech sector bounced back, well, then we dropped this fear back down. No fear here in the market, just a willingness to buy every dip and continue to push that tech sector higher. So watch that carefully. We tried to sneak out from underneath that downtrend here yesterday, faded it right back. So if those bears have anything to say today, watch this here. If we break this downtrend and push back up through about 16 handles here, heading into the weekend, might raise a little bit of concern. If, however, those bulls just shake this all off and say nothing to worry about here, keep buying big tech, then that push right back down here, I see another test down in here possible. And if we got a full-on reversal here in the market, I think we could even drop that VIX even lower. And then if we take a look at our T2122, T21.22 was an interesting move yesterday. We pulled back. We were down here around 30 in T21.22, really suggesting that as hard as that selling was down here, we still had a big potential move to the downside that could come. But the rally back up at the end of the day brought us back up here. We're just short of 50% of the market here, above that 4-week new high, new low. So if those bulls can find inspiration here today, we certainly have plenty of upside opportunity for them to do that. And we have plenty of downside opportunity, just a little bit less opportunity to the downside for those bears. So less room to move, I should say. So watch that carefully. If we take a look at T21.08, although we rallied back pretty strongly yesterday, T21.08 still finished the day down. Remember, percentage of stocks above the 40-day, and we're below that 50% area here in the chart. We've been struggling with that area here for some time. So if those bulls can get going ever reasonably, we'll pop that pretty easily. And we might be back up here seeing if we can test this downtrend here in the chart and see if we can break up through that area. If the bears, of course, find any inspiration, well, we can see the support, as we've been stuck in this range here for quite a while, just kind of languishing along. And if we take a look at T21.07, T21.07 also percentage of stocks below the 200 or above the 200-day moving average, also continued to fade yesterday just a little bit. Quite a range that we've set up in here below that 50% area. So if the bulls can get something going here today, well, maybe we can push up and test that area. If the bears get something going, maybe we can push down and test this area here in the chart. So keep an eye. T21.01 continued to be weak. Even with that massive selling yesterday, we had really no breadth following through to on that bearish wave. Truly remarkable. And so this morning, I'm going to say this again. We are coiled up for a big move in the market. For some reason, we're getting these big price swings, and we're not getting breadth to follow through on that market. Something is out of kilter here. Now, I can't tell you whether or not we're going to bounce up off of here. Remember, we've seen patterns like this before, and we get a either a big bullish or a bearish wave coming into the market, spiking that breadth back up. But for now, it is extremely weak in the market breadth, and that's why we're getting these big whips and this big uncertainty in the market. So keep an eye on this. I think we're still set up for big whipsaws, big point moves, and we're all coiled up for some kind of big move in the market, whether it be up or down. Will it happen today? Can't say that. I don't know. If we take a look at our economic calendar here for today, well, our economic calendar, we've got a little bit going on here to be paying attention to. We get the PMI flash at 945. They didn't give us a composite number for some reason in here, I guess. You can see the last a revision, we were at 52.7, 52.4 on the prior report, so kind of keep an eye on that. Manufacturing index, they're suggesting that moves up by 1/10 to 51.3. I think that might be a little bit of problem after seeing those numbers yesterday, but we'll see. Services index, they're expecting that to move up 1/10 as well to 53. So watch that carefully. We've got existing home sales this morning, and looking at those, we've got 4.16 million in consensus estimate, which is a little bit lower. We'll have to keep an eye on that. Existing home sales could be a little bit of a barometer of the feeling of the consumer. Will want to be paying close attention to that. It could also be helpful on the inflation side. If we start to see some of those home sales slow down here, that might help the inflation. So you never know exactly how the market might move on that. We've got a consumer sentiment number here today, and they're looking for that to improve from 67.8 to 68, seeing that sentiment of the market getting better. Quarterly services survey will be in there. We've got Fed speak and a Baker Hughes rig count to round out the week. On the earnings calendar, we don't have a whole lot going on today either. For the notable earnings, I'm going to run through them this morning. ATMU will be reporting today. One of the notables, and that's pushing higher here at the moment. We've got BCPC reporting today. We're going to hear from BRC. We're going to hear from OIS. We're going to get SHO, TDS, TX. Whoops, that's not TDS. Let's get TDS in there. There we go. TDS, TXNM, and UNIT. So keep an eye on those. Those are your notables for today. Kind of a little bit of a rest going on here on some of those notables. Not nearly as many. We'll get back into it. I think we pick up an awful lot of retail over next week, retail reports, and that could be a little bit sketchy when we saw what happened to Walmart. So we'll see how that goes next week. But for now, those are your notables for today. Let's take a look at a few stocks that could be setting up for today. But before we do that, everyone, once again, if you guys could do me that favor, if you've never seen these videos before, please click that subscribe button on YouTube and also click that bell icon when it pops up so you'll be notified every time I post a video. And if you find these videos to be useful or helpful, if you could do me that favor, clicking that thumbs up button, leaving a brief comment, that helps the channel to grow. Thank you so much, everyone, for taking the time to do that. I do truly appreciate it. Means a lot to me, more than you can know. I think I said this earlier this week, but I never in my wildest dreams would have expected there'd be this many people that would be interested in content that doesn't provide a whole bunch of prediction and a whole bunch of hype. It's just really looking at the technicals of the chart and the price action of the charts. And so thank you so much for supporting this kind of content. I really appreciate it. Let's take a look at some of these stocks setting up, everyone, and remember that these are not recommendations to buy or sell any security. You need to do your own due diligence, be very, very careful in this market, and make sure you're paying close attention to these potential big moves that could occur. Make sure you have a plan to protect yourself in this market condition. Let's take a look at a few of these. Take a look at Adobe. Adobe continuing to set up in this little upside trend. It's been pushing up. Doesn't have a lot of energy in it at all, but keep an eye on that. Place a price alert on this to see if that can push on through here to the upside. Worth paying attention to, I think, although it is coming into a bit of a little price resistance in here. You can see we're popping above that 50-day moving average, which turns this into that rounded bottom breakout pattern that is such a productive pattern in the market. If we were to take a look at FedEx having a really nice little resting pattern up here after breaking through the downtrend, and once again trying to push back up toward that 50-day moving average. It's not quite there yet, and you can see there's a pretty substantial price resistance right through this area as well. But you gotta admit that's a pretty bullish pattern potentially setting up, and if that were to pop in here, might want to be a part of that move. Now, I really can't say the same for UPS. Now, UPS has been trying to get a little bit going and come back up, but there is really not much going on in here. You do have that potential. This is creating a higher low, and if it could get up into this area, well, then we'd have a gap that we could fill, but boy, we are still overall moving in this downtrending here pattern here in UPS. Not looking that healthy at all, if you ask me. Take a look at Starbucks. Starbucks, nice little resting pattern. This is a pattern we call the pop out of the box pattern. You can draw a little tiny box around this pattern, and anytime you have that tight pattern setting up, it's worth paying attention to. Here's the kicker on this, though. We're away from the trend here. Anytime we're away from the trend on this, we can have this pop and then end up pulling back into the trend. So watch that carefully here. It is certainly possible that could push on through and keep going to the upside right from here. I'm not saying it can't do that, but I would plan enough time on this trade. If you're looking at an options really quick swing trade, be careful on this one, because again, it may have to rest all the way out here to trend. But I do think it's worth paying attention to. Do think it's worth keeping on your watch list. So we'll see what happens with it. I'm still liking PSLV. PSLV working out here for me. Holding silver, although we're a little bit soft this morning, still looking okay here on physical silver. Watch that carefully, still showing quite a little bit of bullishness. So remember, I do have a little bit of bias there. I am holding that trade. Chewy, trying to push back up here, but I got to tell you, Chewy's starting to give me a little bit of concern here that it may fade into a short pattern. You can see this downtrend. We created this lower high here, and we're struggling to hold on to this support area of the chart. Still has that potential. It could give we just need a big mighty shove to the upside, and we might get something going there. You'll notice that we kind of slipped underneath this trend here. So I'm watching this closely. I think there is that chance Chewy could roll on over here to the downside. Be kind of careful. Still keeping a real close eye here on anything in the metals and mining area of the market. VALE still looking good in this move. It's not really a concise price action pattern in here, that's for sure, but holding up nicely. VALE looking good. GDX, if you want to get into the gold miners, very nice pattern here. Had a nice pop, pulling back here today, but I don't think that hurts that chart just yet. As long as we hold in here on this support area, if we get that additional push here on GDX, we just need to see the dollar fall, bond yields pull back, and we can see gold continue on higher. And we're so close to 3,000 an ounce. I just can't imagine we're going to not try here in gold eventually to test a 3,000. So watch that carefully. You may also want to look at some of the individuals out there in the mining sector. Take a look at Newmont. Newmont looking good, passing through its earnings yesterday. It popped up on its earnings. It's pulling back just a little bit this morning after earnings, but very nice resting pattern in here. I think that's worth keeping an eye on. May have that opportunity to just push right on higher here in Newmont. Take a look at stocks like KGC, been resting in this pattern, had a little bit of a boost yesterday, now showing a little bit of weakness. It is possible that this could set up for a short. If this becomes the lower high, we could see that roll over and fail here. But with the strength I've been seeing in gold right now, I'm going to have to give it to an edge to the upside in that chart. PAAS had a great day yesterday, pushing up. Gold miner pushing off of this support, big old bullish pop. We're pushing up here toward these all-time highs, and today trying to take a little bit of a rest. Got a beautiful upside trend running in here. I think that is worth keeping an eye on and paying attention to. May have some pretty good opportunities. Let's take a look at some of retail in here. Target not looking so good here. Target is set up short. We have this move to the downside. We're breaking down below resistance or support levels in the chart, rallying back up to test them as resistance and then showing failure. I'd be a little bit concerned here on Target. So keep a close eye on that, as Walmart really had a shakeout yesterday. I think any rally back on that, I would be watching for that potential short. Look at Costco. Costco also having a negative impact on that report in here from Walmart. So watch for a little fade to continue to happen in some of these bigger retails. If we look at Kohl's continues to be weak. It's been trying to sneak up here just a little bit, test that downtrend, but nothing there is good. But that being said, I think Dollar Tree might have something going on here, and Dollar General might have something going on here, pushing up through some resistance here in the chart. This is becoming a round bottom breakout pattern. Nice little concise pattern in here. I'd keep an eye on Dollar General and DLTR. Both of those having maybe something starting to go on here in those charts. So there's a few things for you to be paying attention to today, a few charts for you to be looking at. Hey, I want to wish you all a fantastic day. Wish you great results in your trading, and thank you so much for being supportive of the channel. I very much appreciate it. Everyone take care, be safe, have a wonderful day, and I'll see you right back here bright and early Monday morning. Have a great one, everyone.